So this photograph that we're looking at was taken several years before the Holocaust began in 1929 in Germany. As you can see from the photograph, there are several young boys standing together, grouped kind of as a group of friends, hanging out on the street with a bicycle. There are two boys who are brothers, and their names are Beno and Gerd, and they were Jewish children. Their father owned a bicycle shop right on the street they're standing on. There are many other children in the photograph, some of which were not Jewish, including a young child on the far left-hand side of the photograph whose name is Günther. In 1929, this looked like a pretty normal scene that we'd see today of children playing together, of hanging out with a bicycle on the street. We do know with historical hindsight, however, that in 10 years, in less than a decade, their lives would be very different and not normal at all. On the evening of Kristallnacht, which was a night of state-sponsored and directed terror against the Jewish community, Beno and Gerd, now 10 years older, were arrested. Beno was sent to an early concentration camp called Sachsenhausen. On the same evening, their mother was shot and killed, as were many other Jewish civilians. After Kristallnacht, Beno and Gerd were lucky enough to be released, and they were able to escape Germany for Canada. However, their story doesn't end there. 60 years after the end of World War II, Gerd received a letter. And in this letter from one of the boys in the photograph, Günther, in the left-hand side, was a photograph. And this is the photograph we're looking at today of all the boys playing together. Günther wrote to ask Gerd how he was doing. He enclosed the photograph, and he reminisced about their times together as young boys, playing on the street where their parents actually both owned businesses before the Nazis came to power. Gerd wrote back to Günther asking what his life had been like after the Nazis came to power, and Günther replied that he ended up being a concentration camp guard in a concentration camp called Bergen-Belsen. He was quick to assure Gerd that he had never touched a Jew during his time at Bergen-Belsen. Gerd wrote back asking him how he felt about his job, knowing what we know now of what happened at the concentration camp and what he saw there, and Günther never replied. I think this photograph is a really good opportunity for us to talk about a common misconception about the Holocaust. And that misconception is that only high officials and ranking Nazis and Hitler perpetrated the Holocaust. And that's not actually the case. We know very well that the Holocaust would not be possible without the ordinary participation of citizens across Europe and in Germany, such as Günther. This photograph gives us a chance to think about his statement, the fact that he never touched a Jew, but he was still a concentration camp guard. There's a way that he's able to rationalize that statement that's very interesting to me and reminds us that as humans, there's a very psychological component of what happened during the Holocaust. That genocide is a social act, that it takes participation of an entire society. And I think this photograph is a really interesting reminder of that.